Hello and welcome back to the Jodas Hour. Today we have episode 32. Across from me is Jordyn Wickes from the Michigan State women's soccer team. We have a very accomplished player across from us, just won the Big Ten regular season conference. But first off, I want to give a little shout out. We're doing a breast cancer awareness drop. I mentioned in the last video with Evie Duzma. All of the profits will be donated to a breast cancer awareness society or charity, however you want to say it. We're going to have that figured out. But now, we're going to start the interview. Jordyn, how's your day going so far?
It's going good. Started off pretty much here, so it's been great so far.
Yeah, so Jordyn, can you just give the audience a little bit of just a timeline of how your soccer journey has begun, how it's gone so far?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, going through the whole recruiting process, I ended up committing to Michigan State August of my junior year, I believe. I came here. I actually committed to a different coaching staff. So I came here. Jeff came in kind of with me. And I've, just been here at Michigan State ever since. I've been extremely blessed. I've had the career I've had. Freshman year, I came in kind of off the bench, splitting time with Cameron Evans as a forward, and then kind of repeated that same trend sophomore year. We've had a lot of success. We ended up winning the Big Ten conference title for normal season last year, and then as of Sunday, we just repeated that and went back to back. Since I've been here, I think we've pretty much broken every single school record for women's soccer there has been, and it's been an absolute roller coaster of a journey. But I've been so lucky to be a part of it. So it's been great. It's been crazy, but it's been great.
Yeah, with so much success throughout your first few years here, how has it been in the locker room? How has everybody's relationships and stuff gone?
The locker room, it can get crazy. I mean, it's just we have MJ on our mic, kind of being our aux, and she just is such a character. Can't imagine doing any of it without her, and we're gonna miss her next year, definitely, in the locker room, her energy. But everyone's just kind of up dancing. We got some disco lights, music's blaring, everyone's just having a good time, getting ready for the game, and as you walk out, you kind of just bring that energy on into the field. But the pregame locker room, it can go pretty crazy sometimes, and it's definitely something we should get a camera in there one day.
Yeah, everyone's celebrating a little bit right now. You said that you and Jeff came in around the same time. How has it been growing with each other? Just how has that relationship grown over the last few years?
Yeah, it's definitely grown. Freshman year, I think I was just, scared of everything, figuring things out, just happy to be there. And, my journey's been a bit of a roller coaster. There's been times our relationship probably hasn't been the greatest. I wasted, I think, a lot of energy making things me versus him, when in reality that was never the situation. I just needed something to kind of blame it on, and he happened to be it. And at the end of my sophomore year, we ended up sitting down and having a 2-hour just long conversation, and ever since then, I mean, we have a great relationship. It's very honest, very open. I think every time I go into the office, we end up talking for an hour and a half about soccer, life, everything. But it's been great. I'm very, very thankful for the way it's turned out. It's, definitely one that I cherish and that I'm glad we have.
Yeah, always important to have a good dynamic with your coach. I'm going to give you a little bit of a quote. Your soccer coach back in high school. His name was Scott Ward, and he said, "She's fiercely competitive, has a strong belief in the importance of the team and a confidence in knowing that going up against the best would make her better." When we're talking about that, was there a reason that you came to Michigan State because of the stellar player of the Big Ten Conference, or what was the kind of the reason for coming here at first?
Yeah, my recruiting journey was, I think, anything but normal. While I always wanted to be the best and to compete against the best, I didn't know what that was. I was very, very ignorant coming into the Big Ten Conference and coming into college. As I went through it, I was actually a left back all the way up until my senior year of high school. It's a position that I was not a fan of. I always wanted to play forward, be kind of higher up the field. So when I was deciding that, I was going to make that jump, and I didn't want to go and play collegiately at an outside back level, my coaches sat me down and were like, realistically, you're probably going to have to go to lower conference levels. And I was fine with that. I wanted something to balance both academics and athletics, and something that I would get the position I wanted and be able to have success. I knew I would never be happy just kind of sitting on the bench the entire time. I wanted somewhere where I could make an impact and make an impact on the field. I ended up going through the recruiting process, and I was probably going to go to Bowling Green. My recruiting process, just because of my age, had pretty much every single rule change happen in the middle of our process. So I ended up like starting recruiting, and then we went into a dead period, and then it was opened back up, and then you had COVID, and then it was a mess of a process for me. But as I went through it, probably like 24 hours before we were going into, I think, another dead period for recruiting, Michigan State ended up reaching out to me, and I had some other Big Ten interest at that point, Purdue, Ohio State, but nothing major. I knew financially I couldn't afford to go there at that point. But Michigan State, after the dead period opened again, they had come to some games. They were looking at me still, and they had me on campus for like a ID camp. I ended up playing probably one of the best ID camps of my life. I just had a great day. They ended up calling me on the spot before I even left campus, and we're like, we need to get you here on an official visit. And I was still trying to keep my expectations kind of low, realistic. I didn't want to get my hopes up too much. I had been crushed by other schools, just knowing it didn't work out the way I wanted. And my mom went to Bowling Green, and I knew that was like kind of my most realistic scenario, and there was nothing wrong with Bowling Green. I just knew I was probably settling at that point. And as I'm walking through the official visit with Michigan State, like, I just can picture myself everywhere. I loved the coaching staff. I loved the family dynamic I had on campus. Like, complete strangers who had no idea why I was there or what I was doing were just the absolute nicest people. Everyone was like bleeding green and white. Like, it was such an amazing community, and I was just like, what do they have to offer me for me to be a part of this? Like, how can I make this work? Because I need to come here. And they ended up making me my offer at dinner, and I committed pretty much on the spot. I had to call my coach, and he was like, did you commit yet? And this was like 10 minutes after they told me. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I have other visits lined up with other schools. And he's like, you need to commit. I was like, okay. So, like 10 minutes later, I ended up committing, like, pretty much like on the spot, right after they told me. And it was the greatest decision I've ever made in my career. And, I'm so thankful for the way it's all worked out.
Yeah, made sure to lock it down fast. That's good advice from the coach to make sure that there's no time to really rethink it. You got to just dive in sometimes, and that's exactly what you've done. You have so much success so far. And how has the relationships developed with your teammates throughout the years?
Yeah, they are, my favorite people. I absolutely adore this team. I've adored every team. I think I still, have a lot of communication with girls that have graduated or left. It's just, you spend so much time together. You get very, very close very, very quickly. Everyone here is working towards the same goal. We all have the same aspirations. We all just work for each other, and it makes everything a little bit more sweeter. When you have that sort of motivation. You're not doing it for yourself or for your coach necessarily. You're doing it for the people on that field with you. You're doing it for the other 10 girls that are on the field at that time, but along with everyone else on the sideline subbing in, everyone else that's wearing that Spartan jersey. It's an amazing feeling. I love these girls. I love this team. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's the best when you're not just playing with teammates, you're playing with your friends, almost a second family.
Yeah.
You can see the logo on your shirt right now, The Big Life. That's the podcast you run. Would you like to give the audience a little bit of an explanation of what that is?
Yeah, so I ended up starting a podcast about 12 weeks ago, so beginning of the season, with the Girls Soccer Network. Me and Sam Carey, she's a defender at Iowa, so we actually went up against each other Sunday. And we will run it back this Sunday for the Big Ten tournament. All right, guys, welcome to episode 14 of the Big Life podcast. I'm your host, Jordyn Wickes, with the newest champion of the Big Ten tournament, Miss Sam Carey. How are you doing, Sam? How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've just decided that fate is lining up in our favor.
But we have a podcast where we just kind of show the realities of what being a Big Ten student athlete is. The good, the bad, the ugly. When I was going through the recruiting process, I said I was very ignorant. I didn't know a lot in terms of the statistics or what was going on with the behind the scenes. And I always wanted to, but social media is pretty glamorous. You just get the highlights, you just get little pictures. I wanted to know what was actually, the big life, the Big Ten life. What was that? What did that mean? So I ended up sending out some emails to Girls Soccer Network. They ended up saying yes. They paired me with Sam Carey, and we have, I think, done exactly that. We've shown the realities, the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a Big Ten student athlete. Sometimes it's absolutely glamorous, Other times, not so much, and you get a little bit of both. We've had some amazing guests on that can give further insight into it, but we record on Mondays. Every episode comes out on Thursdays, so if you want to check it out, it's out on all platforms. The Big Life.
Yeah. In the most recent episode, it will be the second most recent by the time I post this, I believe. You're talking about how the little reason that you guys do that is because you didn't really have older siblings to look up to in the sporting field. How much of an impact has that had on the show for you guys and the way that you portray what you're trying to explain?
I think the way we portray it is just with incredible honesty. That was always our main focus. We want to be honest. We don't want to sugarcoat anything or, give some sort of glamorized version of it. We just want to share our experiences. And I think both of us are very, very different. We bring unique dynamics to it. She's very outgoing, very extroverted, high energy all the time. I'm more of a chill, very introverted, probably the last person anyone would ever expect to have a podcast. And we balance each other well. We bring unique dynamic, a unique perspective. I will never be able to know what the life of a Sam Carey is. That's just not me. And, same thing with her. We bring those unique dynamics, that unique perspective. And in terms of the older sister part, I think that's what we hope to be for these younger girls, someone that they can look up to, that they can reach out to if they need any help or if they have any questions. Our DMs, our social media platforms, everything is always open. We're more than happy to help and to answer any questions they may have. So I think our goal with it all is just to help, whoever we can in some way, whether it's just giving a bigger perspective of what this is, letting them know what they're getting into, or just letting them know they're not alone in their journey. Whatever they need, we hope that we can be something for them.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool dynamic to have. It kind of reminds me, there's this one guy on YouTube, I think he might have lost his dad when he was a younger son, but what he does is he makes videos for people who don't really have their dad in their life, teaching them how to shave, how to do oil changes, kind of general stuff like that. You guys are doing that for Big Ten sports right now with the women's soccer field. I just think that's really cool to do. So when you proposed it, did you suggest Sam as your co-host, or was she assigned to you, or how did that work?
Yeah, so this was something I'd been thinking about for a long time. I was like, there is a space for this. And being the introvert that I am, I didn't necessarily think I would be at the forefront of it, but I really wanted someone to do it. So I sent out a bunch of DMs while I was actually in Australia for the student athlete study abroad trip this summer. So I sent out some DMs. Girls Soccer Network ended up reaching back out to me and was like, let's do it. Let's have a meeting. I was like, okay. And on that meeting was Sam. She ended up already working for them, so she's done a lot with Girls Soccer Network already. And they were like, this is your idea. We want whatever you're comfortable with, but I think you and Sam would be great. Like, you're so different that I think that's why it would work. And after the first meeting, I think we had great chemistry. It worked well. We balanced each other well. She's a natural leader, very extroverted, very outgoing. I'm able to bring the other perspective with the just kind of more calm, the chillness, the just open, honest conversations that we're both willing to have. And it just, the rest is history. It worked right away. But Girls Soccer Network ended up pairing us together, and I don't think me and Sam ever would have crossed paths other than the soccer field otherwise. And now I think she'll be in my life long after this podcast is over. So.
Yeah, able to make a good friend through the podcast. That never hurts at all. So right now you're the interviewee. A lot of the times you take the other mantle as the interviewer. How has that been with your growth as just an interviewer, working as a member of the media?
Yeah, it's definitely been, there's some growing pains for sure. I think I was just, like I said, the last person anyone would ever expect to have a podcast. And with that, I think, the first episode, you can tell I'm definitely very nervous, more reserved, shy. There's some awkward gaps that they had to edit where I just don't really know what to say. I'm still pretty fidgety. I like to mess with my hair, my arms, or whatever it is. I'm still working on that. A lot of I still want to cut out. But for the most part, it's just every episode gets a little bit better. I like being the interviewee, being able to ask these questions that you would never have a platform to ask otherwise. I'm not going to go up to a lot of these people and ask these deep questions that, I don't really know them that well. But when you have a mic in front of you and you're recording it, for some reason, people are willing to answer and be a lot more honest and open with it. And it's been great. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to see where this goes because every episode gets better and better with it.
Yeah, it is a lot easier to get people to admit things when you have a mic in front of your face. So, Jordyn, what is your social security number?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you asked.
No, so one thing I do want to talk about is after you're going undefeated in the Big Ten last year, I saw a little picture, might have been a TikTok that you posted where you said that you got to fly a little bit of a private plane. How was that experience? That sounds very cool.
I think that's been the biggest thing that I've noticed a trend throughout the years. You know, we try to maintain the same culture, the same dynamic, the same work ethic from year to year to year. Obviously, after Jeff's been in, but every year I think the financial aspect gets a little bit better in terms of donors. You know, freshman year we came in and we had these like baby T-shirts. They ordered youth sizes, I believe, by accident, and they had we're like ripping the seams open, trying to stretch them out. They're getting little holes by the end of the season. It's just like a hot mess. And then by year 2, we're chartering to some of our games. I think we chartered only once that sophomore year, and it was the greatest thing ever. And by year 3, every single week-long away trip we've had, because you play Thursday, Sunday. So we've had 3 this year. We chartered for 2 of them. Where we're flying from place to place to place on a private jet just in these airports, and it is the absolute coolest experience like ever. I mean, never in a million years would you have told little high school Jordyn that she's gonna be flying private to like Indiana and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Pennsylvania, like all these places, and you're like, what the heck? But it never gets old. It gets cooler. I think every time I step on that plane and step off in these private airports, so it's been great. I love it.
Started giving you guys a little bit more respect after realizing just how good you guys are. You only had 1 loss in the Big Ten this year, 0 losses in the Big Ten last year in the regular season. How does that kind of just give you a certain mindset when you face against Big Ten opponents? Because you know that there's a separate tier when you're facing off against an in-conference opponent. What is the mindset going in those games?
It's definitely a whole new ball game when you hit Big Ten level. No matter, I think, the competition level of this out of conference, once you get into Big Ten and things start counting a little bit more and everyone's grittier, and we're one of the top conferences for women's soccer. Everyone is good all the time. Even some of the lowest ranked teams for the Big Ten are still elite level programs in terms of women's soccer and NCAA. And it's just knowing that after coming in freshman year and being able, to do it again sophomore year and be a part of such a successful team, I think it's really helped junior year being prepared for that, and knowing that the competition level is just that high. I think there's no way to really prepare for it until you step onto the field and you're in that type of environment. But yeah, it's such an elite level of competition. It's great, everyone is good, and you get to be a part of that and to compete against the best.
What's nice about playing against constant competitive competition like that is when you get to the NCAA tournament, it's not like you're caught on the back of your heels going against a tough team for the first time that season. You've been prepared for it. You've been facing off against it all season. One thing I do want to touch on a little bit is while we talk about preparation coming in the Big Ten matchups, how does your preparation change over the years of college so far? Coming in freshman year, I imagine your routine, your training schedule was a little bit different than now.
Yeah, freshman year, I think, was one of the hardest things I've ever done, just stepping into that from high school. It is so uncomparable. It's insane. You have scouting now, like you're getting packets on other teams before the games. You're doing film, you're watching yourself back, you're getting notes, you're getting critiques on things you didn't even know were things, you do so mindlessly on the field. And it was a lot. It was a huge adjustment. I think my freshman year, I was caught up in just learning all of it and trying to absorb as much as I can while also just being happy to be there. I think I got a little bit too just satisfied with being a part of that team and being here at Michigan State and being able to be on the field with them. The idols and the people I looked up to, the Lauren Kozels and Ava Cooks of the world, like I get to share the field with them. And I was a little too starstruck, I think, freshman year. I didn't necessarily have the same grit that I wish I would have. I think that's the biggest thing I changed going into sophomore year. I was just like, I'm going to make a difference on this field, good or bad, you're going to notice me, and I think I played with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of maybe anger that, I wanted to make the most of every minute I was going to get. I couldn't control the minutes I was getting, but once you put me out onto that field, I was going to make a difference, and that was kind of the mindset I learned to adopt going into my sophomore year. And then junior year, I've carved out a lot more of a consistent role. Ever since the Notre Dame game this year, I've been pretty much a consistent starter, something, I'm proud of and happy of. But at the same time, I still have to go out there and know that, if I'm not doing my job, someone else will, and rightfully so. I have to still make the most of every single minute out into that field. And the preparation in terms of mindset year to year to year, I think just changes based on my role and my position and trying to figure out what that is. Roles are constantly changing in the field of soccer, and not only year to year, but day to day. So it's always something you got to keep on your toes and figure out how can you be your best athlete, how can you be your best soccer player on that day.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about if you're comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong. You should be uncomfortable at points. Tom Brady actually has one of the greatest quotes about it. I don't remember the exact verbatim for it, so I'm going to be probably butchering it a tiny bit. But he was explaining that when he was a rookie and when he was in college, there were people in front of him getting 12 reps with the first team, 9 reps with the first team. He was getting 3. And at first he came out and he said, how am I supposed to show that I'm better than these guys when I'm only getting 3 chances compared to their 9 or 12? And then he started realizing that he changed his mindset to every one of these 3, I'm going to treat like it's my last one. I'm going to go 100% every single time. Those 3 ended up turning into 6, ended up turning into 9 until he was a starter, getting 12 reps with the first team. And it seems like you have a similar mindset of if I'm going to get 10 minutes out there or 50 minutes, I'm going to play as hard as I can for that entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. You learn quickly. Like, I think in high school, you're going to play 90 minutes and you try to almost like save yourself for the end of the game so you can go. There is no time for that. The second you start to save yourself is the second you're getting beat, the second you're losing the ball. Like, there's no time to take your foot off the gas in college soccer. Our coach actually showed us, had us all sit down and watch that Tom Brady clip. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think it's a great mindset for any athlete to adapt at any level. You have to make the most of the chances you're given. You don't get the opportunity to choose what those chances are or what they look like. It's not up to you. All you can do and all you control is what you can control. You can control yourself, your work ethic. What are you doing to make yourself better? And the rest of it's up to the coaches. And it's something you have to accept. And I'm sitting here saying it, and it's a lot easier said than done. Trust me, I know. I wish I would have always had that mindset, but it's been a roller coaster trying to figure that out. And it hasn't always been easy to get there, but I like to think that hopefully I'm there at this point with that mindset and adapting it. But I'm sure there'll be another bump in the road along my journey before it's over.
Yeah, it comes over time. There's obviously dips, there's high points. It's not going to be a stagnant line the entire time. But that's really cool that you've seen the Tom Brady video. He just signed a Fox deal going into broadcasting at a point. Seems like you're doing some similar stuff with the podcasting. Do you think that you want to go more into the media field after? Or are you going to try pushing for an athletic career after college? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'm open to whatever kind of life throws at me. I would absolutely love and take the opportunity to continue playing soccer if that was a reality. Never in a million years would I have thought that I'd be able to even say that with a straight face vaguely. And every year, more and more people from Michigan State end up making it to the pro life. And I would absolutely love to be one of them. At the same time, I'm still getting my mechanical engineering degree. I would love to get my MBA after, kind of pursue more of the business side of engineering as a plan. But if the podcast goes well and it keeps going, I mean, yeah, it sounds like a dream job to me too. So we'll see. I still got, a year and a half here to figure it out. And I'm going to take every last minute to make those plans. But, whatever life throws at me, I think I'm more than willing to adapt to it.
Yeah, still got a year and a half left, got multiple avenues that you've started to explore already. With that year and a half left, as you become one of the leaders of the team, as you're one of the older players, how has it been kind of teaching the younger ones coming in, freshmen, sophomores, getting them adjusted to the speed of collegiate soccer?
Yeah, I think we have a very elite freshman class. They came in. They didn't need much, in terms of that. They picked up very, very quickly. I think we have one of the best freshmen in NCAA right now, Bella Najera. She just scored another goal for us yesterday. I believe that puts her at 7 goals for the season, coming in as a freshman, being a starter, being able to adapt to that. She's an elite player as a freshman already, so she didn't need much help at all. But, we've got 9 others that are right there with her. They didn't need a whole lot of help, it seems like. They were able to pick it up pretty quickly, and I think that's the difference probably in our team this year is being able to have freshmen on the field and know that they're not going to play like freshmen. And we've had them in our rotation quite a bit. They're able to kind of just, I think, watch and learn, from the people that were before them and their position groups and figure it out. We've, came in early before season starts August 1st. So we came in a couple weeks early. You get to know them, you kind of adapt to them, and right away, I mean, they were just such a amazing group of individuals, all 10 of them. And, I think you could tell right there that they were going to be a big part of this team, and they've definitely stuck to that.
By now, you've got to be used to the shorter summers. It's your third season at this point. How was that initially, realizing that this summer is going to be a lot shorter? I'm going to have less time with my family, less time with my friends right now. I've got to just get ready for collegiate ball.
Yeah, it's oddly normal, I think. I think this is probably the most time I've had off in my life because normally I did 3 sports throughout all of high school. So I did basketball, soccer, and then track. Track ran until kind of the end of the school year into summer if you made it to states, and then you still had your soccer season going pretty much up until your high school season started. So we had high school soccer in the fall, and then the second that ended, your club season started. And then the second your club season ended, you started your high school soccer season up again. So I've always been pretty busy in the summer. I think the year coming into my freshman year of college, I was home for like less than 12 days the entire summer. So it's been oddly normal to be able to adjust to that.
Not only were you a 3-sport athlete in high school, I remember seeing this last night. I meant to write this down. You were excellent at all 3 sports. You set school records and goals. You had 30 goals. You had 69 points in a season. Finished your career with 53 goals, 23 assists for that team. In basketball, 14 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 3 steals. Amazing. Just those 2 sports alone would be great for a dual sport athlete. Then you fix in a third with track and field where you were 11th in the state in the 300-meter hurdle and a qualifier for the 4x400. How was it balancing so many sports, just being an athletic phenom at that point?
It was, it's all I've ever known. I have always been an athlete. I think I just, when I was younger, my parents would make obstacle courses, try and keep me from getting to them while they were trying to do the dishes. And it was probably my favorite thing to do. I would go and I would break through this big obstacle course, go crawl over to my dad, hug his knee, and then he'd have to set it all up again. And I loved it. I think I've always just been an athlete. I did every single sport possible, from karate to gymnastics to, literally anything, tennis, everything my parents would sign me up for, I would do. And I just loved it. My favorite sport was whatever sport I was competing in at that time. I was an athlete at heart. So when it came to high school, there was really no option for me but to do as much as I possibly could. I was on, at that point, I think 5 different teams between your clubs, your ODPs, your high school teams, and everything. And it was the best decision I've ever made. I absolutely loved it. I had coaches who were very, very patient with me and were willing to work with me, all of them. You can't be a multi-sport athlete in high school without coaches who accept that. In my freshman year, especially with basketball, I think there was a moment where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I would get punished constantly for missing things, and I have to go to these club events because this is my future. I knew at that point if I had a shot in college, it was going to be for my club teams, and in soccer. And she didn't understand that. And so I had to take a step away, and luckily we had a coach that came in and he was like, no, like, we're going to make this work. And he did. He stood by that. Same thing with my track coach. And I cannot express the level of gratitude I had to everyone in that high school who just worked with me and allowed me to go there and be there. And when I was there, I made sure I was the hardest worker. If we're getting, running gassers at basketball, I'm going to be first. Whether or not I have club soccer afterwards, I'm going to show them that I'm here. And when I am here, I'm going to be here to make a difference, to work and to help the team. And it was hard. It was hard to balance all of it, but it was the best decision I ever made. And I absolutely loved every single bit of it.
Sounds like competitive drive has just been instilled in you ever since you were a kid. And you were explaining with the obstacle course that seems like it's just a really central, integral part of your character so far. When you're playing with people who, while they have a competitive drive, it's not as fierce as yours might be, how is that adjustment? Is it kind of seamless where you're able to dial it down a little bit, realize they might not have the exact same mindset, or do you kind of try bringing them up to your level?
I have had no issue thus far in college. I think everyone who is here, they wouldn't be here if they don't have that. And if they don't, they don't stick around for long. It's not worth it. Everyone here and everyone who's a part of this team and everyone who wants to stay a part of this team has that drive and has that fierce competitive spirit. And I actually, fun fact, I live with 3 gymnasts. So it's me, Bella Carafo, she's a goalie in my class on soccer, and then 3 gymnasts, so Gabby, Lauren, and Jenna. And living with them, I think, like, there is no sport that works harder or does more, or like just the things they do and they put themselves through and the mindset they have from it. I've learned so much from being around them. I think it makes me, as competitive as I am, I've learned that maybe I have some room to grow in that area, just being surrounded by such elite competitors and elite people, both on and off the field or gymnastics mat.
Yeah, gymnastics is a sport that you really don't appreciate until you see it in person. You realize, like, these people are flinging their bodies pretty high in the sky, and the fact they're catching themselves, not getting hurt, very impressive. When you're living with athletes such as that, you're always kind of around people who are with the sport. How do you separate the sport from your life and still have some free time to be Jordyn instead, just the soccer player?
I think living with a different sport has been the greatest blessing in that area. You have a sounding board who, one, knows what it is to be an athlete. They still get it, but they're not directly involved in whatever scenario it is that's going on the field for me. So they have perspective, but they also are able to take a step back and go, like, this is the bigger picture of what things are. Because sometimes when you're in it, and especially when you're with teammates who are going through it as well, like, the world gets so small. And you're not really able to step outside and see the big picture of things. So having athletes who understand what I'm going through, but are also have a unique perspective, they're not directly involved, I think has been the biggest blessing in my life. And, I absolutely love living with them, being a different sport within them. We have a nice balance. We're going to a haunted house later tonight. You feel like an athlete, but you feel absolutely normal the second you step into that apartment. You're just goofing around with some of your best friends, and it's been a great experience this year. And I'm happy to say we renewed our lease, so we will be back next year.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys make sure you have some fun, make sure you step away a little bit from the sports sometimes, and get to enjoy life as a whole. Mm-hmm. While we're talking about the fun stuff, media days always seem like they were really fun. How have the media days of soccer been for you?
They're great. We've every year, I think same thing with the flying private, like every year our media team has stepped it up more and more, and it's just so unique to be a part of. Like, same thing, like that's got to be one of the coolest parts of coming here, and just like how much they do for it, like you're making gifts. I have a gift with my name on it now, and like, all these pictures, and you got smoke machines and you got turntables, and you're, sitting down and they're being interviewed, and all of these things that I never in a million years would have imagined doing, in high school, and being a part of my life has now become so normal. And every year you're like, yeah, this is media day, and it gets better and better, and it's just so cool to be a part of. And we've had some really unique pictures and ideas that have come throughout the years. I think every year we get more creative with them. So, we've got some good ones, this year. So hopefully.
Yeah, I saw the one you get like flying through the air getting fake kick. That one was awesome. One thing that's really cool about the media days is it gives you a little bit of a taste of what you'd have in the professional leagues when you're taking pictures, talking to people through interviews. One thing that helps you with that too is NIL that's been installed lately. Do you have any NIL deals going on right now, or how has that process been for you?
Yeah, NIL's been great for me. It's allowed me the opportunity to not only just monetize the podcast, which you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise, but to have these brands reaching out and to be willing to work with athletes and work with, not just football and basketball, but women's soccer. And it's been great. I think our biggest one is Charitable Gift of America, Spartan NIL. They have worked with our entire team, and they have been such a blessing. They've made life so much easier, and I cannot thank them enough for what they've done in the NIL space for us. It's been absolutely incredible. They, have an NIL deal with us. We get to support a charity of our choosing, in addition to, receiving some financial benefits where it makes life easier as a student athlete because we can't get jobs. Your scholarship only covers so much, depending on what it is. It only covers so much. You need food still. You need to have a life. And not being able to have a job and being able to get these NIL deals to help support us through college, it's been an incredible blessing. And I think Charitable Gift America is at the forefront of that.
Yeah, it's huge because people used to just think you could survive off the scholarship for some reason. Somehow forgot about food, forgot about water, all that stuff. But now it's completely changed. Really nice to see athletes getting a little bit more respect in that field. When you've been here, you've grown up throughout the years, things have changed. What has been one of the biggest shifts in the program you've seen throughout the last few years? You guys have been extremely successful the last 2 seasons. What has that shift been in the locker room, whether it's with the coaching staff or just all around the school?
Yeah, I think for us, prior to us coming in, or prior to my class coming in and Jeff coming in, women's soccer was not a strong point of Michigan State athletics. It was not a strong point in terms of Big Ten women's soccer. We were usually found ourselves at the bottom. And changing that dynamic freshman year was something we worked really, really hard to do. We had to change the culture. We had to change the way we viewed soccer and the way other people viewed us. And it was a lot of hard work. And I think as we go throughout the years, it's become more of just a standard. Like, this is what Michigan State women's soccer is. This is what Big Ten women's soccer is. Being back-to-back champs, now we're at the top and we've proven that we're here to stay. Where in previous years, it's like a fluke, A lot of times when you have a new coach coming in, you're always going to have more of a better season, I think. I want to know the statistics behind that. I feel like that's always the thing. You at least win the next game, or, you have a good run in the season, and then you may fall off. Old habits die hard, and I think we've proven that that's not the case with us. This is a new era of Michigan State women's soccer, and it's been really fun. It's been really exciting to see that shift in the way people perceive us. We're not an easy win. We're a team that you're going to have circled on your calendar waiting to play, and knowing that you're going to have to give it your best game in order to be able to compete. And it's been, it's so incredible to see the way everyone has adapted to that and just embraced it fully in the way that now it's just so normal. Like, nobody's shocked at this. Nobody's looking at this like this is it. This is who we are.
It's crazy how quick that can become normalized. At first, it's something that's groundbreaking. Now it's just the expectation. Mm-hmm. With that, because you guys won the Big Ten last year, was there a little bit of fear of we have to defend this title, or was it more of we're going to defend this title?
I think our coach has done a really good job of making sure that we set the standard for ourselves. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We are going to play Michigan State women's soccer. We are the standard. Like, if we win 4-0, but we're not competing at our best, he's going to let us know. Other teams or other people may look at it and be like, you're winning. He's not satisfied unless we are playing at our best. And I think it's been a really, really good mindset where game by game, no matter what, all we can control is what we can control. And if we go out there and we give our absolute best and the results don't fall in our favor, there's, what can you do about it? But we have a team where, if that's true and we're out there and we're playing at our top, there's nobody that can beat us. And, he believes that, we believe that. And it's been, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good to keep that mindset of just, we're going to keep going. We know what we can do. There's no reason to stop here. Besides your coaches, besides your teammates, has there been anybody else who's been a bit of a motivator in your life up to now?
Yeah, my parents, for sure, have been my number one fans. Get a little nostalgic every now and then, talking on the podcast about where I came from, the sacrifices they made in order to get me here. If I don't say it enough, thanks, Mom and Dad. I wouldn't be here without them. And I think as we go throughout this process, people forget, like, your parents are going throughout it too. Like, they're the ones that have to pay the financial burden or the time. Like, the amount of hours they spend in a car getting you from place to place is absolutely insane. So yeah, they've been great motivators. You want to succeed, to make their investment worth it and to make them happy and to make them proud. And I know they would be happy and proud of me no matter what. But, I want them to have that and to see that and to share those moments with them, like I did Sunday, where I get to go over there and I get to look, Mom, like, this is something tangible. Like, all of this came to this. Like, look at this trophy. Like, we did this. It's a huge motivator. My siblings, I'm the oldest of 5. So my youngest brother, so the fourth in the lineup, he somehow thinks like he's a better athlete than me. And it's really crazy because he's just like not. Shout out Carter. But no, we have a great like little competitive rivalry going, and he loves to like, try to match everything I've done in middle school or high school and whatever. He's like, you went to states this many times, I'm going to go to states this many times. Or he's like, you bench this, I'm going to bench more. And he's well past my lifting standards now, which is really annoying. But, every time something happens, he's like, dang it, like now I have to be 2-time Big Ten champs. I'm like, okay, Carter, like good luck. So he's also a little motivator in there. My whole family is, the happiness they have in my success and the willingness to prove my little brother wrong.
Yeah, even if you were saying that your podcast was kind of developed because you guys don't have older siblings, you're giving it to people so that they can have a little bit of substitute for that. It's cool to see that you as an older sibling are influencing your younger brother already. You're giving him extra drive, extra reason to keep competing, even if it is to try becoming a 2-time Big Ten champion now. That's a really cool dynamic to see. One thing, the biggest thing I've learned throughout your family so far is that when I have kids, I am building an obstacle course immediately and hoping that they become Division I athletes, because I imagine while they would still be very, very proud of you no matter what you did in life, there's a little bit extra where they can brag about you to their friends. They say, yeah, is your daughter a Big Ten champion 2 times by any chance? Because mine is. And I think that's awesome. It's just very sweet to see that. So throughout your life, plenty of coaches have been in your life. We talked about Scott Ward earlier. We talked about Jeff, talked about a couple different coaches so far. Who in your life throughout the coaching standard has been someone who has set a precedent and set kind of this is what you should be reaching for and what you should be doing on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think that's probably been the luckiest part of my entire life is who I've been blessed with in terms of coaching. You talked about Scott Ward. He was my coach for like 11 years, I think, from 7 to 18, from travel throughout high school. He pushed me to join club, and my first club coach was John Fountain with OP Fire. And looking at that team, looking at some of the old pictures, I think all but like 2 of us went on to play Division I athletics. Not all of us soccer, but Division I athletics at a very high, very competitive level. And I mean, we're in like middle school, and he definitely helped set the precedent. I think I came in and the first words that man ever said to me were, "You're number 20 on a 16-person roster." And I was like, that means I'm a part of this team. Like, yes, like, let's go. I wasn't always a very talented soccer player, but I was always a talented athlete, and he saw something in me where he was willing to take a chance on me. Other parents weren't pleased that I was joining this elite team. They were the number 1 team in the entire nation at that age group. And he took a chance on me and really wanted to help, kind of cater that talent for me. And it's been quite a journey ever since then. But he's the original one that really, really took that chance and showed me that, like, this is what hard work really is. Because up to that point, I've never had to work that hard for anything. I've always been just naturally kind of the best, and I got there and I'm the worst. So I went out and, to this day, I think that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of, is becoming a starter on that team and to really just show everyone wrong and to just, work hard for it. And, I then continued on with my club team to David Slasky, and he got me here, throughout the recruiting process. Another team, we were one of the top in the nation, competing at such a high level. And every coach I've ever had in my entire life has just helped cater that sort of, competitive spirit and show me what it means to be a good athlete, a good soccer player, a good basketball player, a good track player, whatever it is, but also a good person.
Having the right coach can make or break your decision to play in college. So I'm happy to see that you had the right coaches in your corner. When you're talking about your team for your club team, the fact that they all went on to play Division I athletics, have you ever seen the AAU team with all NBA players? Every single member of it went to the NBA?
I have not.
That
no.
is all I was thinking of the entire time that you were talking about that. You got to have that picture one day of just all you guys wearing your D1 jerseys, have that photoshopped over, because that's sweet. That's really just something special. The fact that a group of middle schoolers all ended up having that much athletic success, it's unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like, we went on to just be successful. Like, you have Taylor Huff on that team, who is probably going to go number 1 in my draft class. Like, just an absolute insane soccer player. She's still someone, I look up to, on the field, and half the stuff I do, I probably still learn from her in terms of things, I'm able to do. Even the way I tie my shoes, little middle school me was looking up to this Taylor Huff, and the amount of success she's had, or Shelby Salee at Xavier, just everyone, like, the level of success on that team is absolutely crazy and unheard of. Like, every single person went on to play a high level of Division I athletics. Clearly, John did something right, and that team was something special to be a part of, and it really started my career and my journey here.
When you're playing with that much talent around your team and you're succeeding, you're working, you're a part of that team, did that really change your expectations of what you were able to do with this sport?
Yeah, for sure. I truly believe, like, if I wouldn't have been a part of that, I don't think I would have been here today. Like, that was the start of everything for me. I don't think I would have learned until too late in my career what hard work was. It's probably that 2-year period I was on that team, because then we had an age group change where I was younger than everyone else. So we went off and the team just kind of disbanded, and we all went our separate ways there. But if I wasn't a part of that team, I truly don't think I would have been here. Like, it is the most improvement I've ever seen in 2 years, in my life, I think, in terms of soccer. I went from being one of the worst to being a starter within the year to being on the number one team in the nation, playing, almost the entire game a lot of times as a left back, for me there. But it was just, it was the start of it all. It was the start of it all for me.
Yeah, long journey, ended up here at Michigan State and ended up as a 2-time Big Ten champ. And there's a clip I was thinking of during that. It was Christian McCaffrey. I saw it this weekend. He was talking about, he heard that there was always a second level for people who made the NFL, people who played D1 athletics, where it's separate and it's hard to reach. And he started realizing that whenever he played against other people who were talented, it never really felt like they were on another level than him. I imagine there was a little bit of the similarity of, you're always surrounded by talented people. You're working, you become one of the main members of the team. It makes you realize, maybe I'm part of that higher level. Maybe I'm not in the lower echelon. I think that's just a big builder of your mindset and just view of what you can do in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Jordyn, while we wrap up the show, are there any shout-outs you'd like to give anyone right now? Just can talk about the big life a little bit. Anything that you want to give a little bit of credit to before we wrap up?
Yeah, definitely check out The Big Life if you want to hear any bit more about this. It's out on all platforms, like I said. Me and Sam, we have a great dynamic going. We play each other again on Sunday, so this should be a really exciting episode. We have Jeff coming on. So me, him, and Sam get to sit down and have a conversation, both after becoming Big Ten champs and defeating Iowa this Sunday, and then before playing them again next Sunday. So it should be really exciting. So go ahead and check it out. Girls Soccer Network podcast on every platform you can find it. Jordyn_Wickes on Instagram if you have any questions about anything. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on, Jordyn. I appreciate you coming on right after a long weekend. Very important weekend for you guys. This was episode 32 of the Jodas Hour with Jordyn Wickes. Hope that you have the best of luck for the rest of your season. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you all have a great day.